There's an underlying pattern of my disbelief. So I wait till I'm in shambles, my heart is in the dust. Then I run with holy fervor, my 11th hour rush. But how will I ever believe without a simple leap of faith? And how will these eyes ever see without a simple leap of faith? This mustard seed I'm holding is going in the ground. Moving toward the window where the great unknown is hung, ascending up the ladder, climbing room by room. I feel the pulse of heaven beating in my chest. I'm a newborn April sparrow being shoved out of my nest. But how will I ever believe without a simple leap of faith? And how will these eyes ever see without a simple leap of faith? How will I ever believe without a simple leap of faith? And how will these eyes ever see without a simple leap of faith? Oh, yeah.
Most radio stations play the same music over and over and over and over and over. At Live 365, our music is hand-picked by people who are passionate about music. You won't find repetitious computer algorithms at work here. Just a community of real people like you, playing the music they love. And they hope you love it too. Show your support. Become a VIP member today for a commercial-free experience at live365.com/VIP.
Are you looking to start your very own internet radio station or radio network? Do you need a reliable, high-bandwidth, dedicated server? ReliaStream offers some of the lowest rates on the web. ReliaStream supports Shoutcast, Icecast, and iTunes radio broadcasting. We are so confident you will love our services. We even offer a free 15-day trial. You will also enjoy our free top-rated customer service, free live support, and low-cost dedicated servers. Visit www.reliastream.com. That's reliastream.com to get started.
Ghost Fighter Radio.
You're listening to the Captain's America with Matt Bruce.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Captain's America radio show, live on location from the Villages here in Central Florida. Now, the Villages is the largest retirement community in the United States. Some 31,000 people live here, and we were just all honored to have the GOP vice presidential candidate, Paul Ryan, come and speak to a crowd of thousands of people. Now, folks, early estimates on the crowd here were anywhere from 8 to 11,000 people. I'm waiting for confirmation from my friends in the fire service, but they're telling me that they had, by the size of the crowd that they could see, both from overhead and on the ground, and by the cars that were in the area, and by the golf carts that showed up, they're estimating a minimum 10,000 people were here, and it could have even been more. Now, we've got people standing around us. We've got some interviews today. We've also got our regular guests on the program. We're going to get right to our first regular guest, Frank Salvato, the managing editor of the New Media Journal. But when we come back, we'll be talking to the people that are around us here. We are right at Lake Sumter, right here on Main Street in the middle of the Villages, right here in Central Florida. Okay, folks, let's get started and bring Frank Salvato onto the program. Let's get that going there, Mr. Engineer.
More stimulating talk at your home of common sense, and starting out the weekend as he always does, hour number one, the Captain's America radio show. We have Frank Salvato, the managing editor of the New Media Journal. Frank, this has been a monumental week in the fact that we've gone through Paul Ryan now celebrating 7 days as the presidential's Mitt Romney's pick as his vice president, and boy, I'm telling you, he has spiked the campaign upwards to 11 percentage points for Mitt Romney as a result.
You bet, and I think it's you're going to see a little bit more of that. I think the tide has turned, the teeter is tottering, as it were. And one of the big signs that it's bothering the Obama camp is the mud that they've been throwing ever since his announcement. And it doesn't. I'm talking about mud that has nothing to do with Paul Ryan. They're trying to change the subject from Paul Ryan's nomination as best they can, and it just isn't working for them.
Well, they tried it with Vice President Joe Biden, who, if you watch the video, did make a racist comment about putting people back in chains when he pointed his finger right at the largest group of blacks sitting in the room in Danville, Virginia.
Right, and that was on purpose. Anybody who understands Chicago politics understands that not only was that scripted, it was on purpose. It was meant to change the subject from Paul Ryan to something that has nothing to do with policy and what this election is all about. They're trying to redirect the country's attention to something that's inane when we had actually changed the discussion to something of substance, which is entitlement reform and fiscal responsibility.
And we're talking, folks, with Frank Salvato, the managing director of the New Media Journal. We speak to him every weekend, hour number one. He leads off the program here on the Captain's America radio show, and his website is simply newmediajournal.us. And while you're there, check out basicsproject.org and become part of the solution, not part of the problem. Well, Frank, you're from Chicago, and I did a little 5-minute interview and a little miniature roundtable with a Chicago alderman on a radio station called WIND. You familiar with it?
Oh, very much so. It's a Salem Broadcasting. It's my old stomping grounds of my old friends up there at WIND.
Well, the Chicago alderman got a chance to speak first about Medicare, and I was brought on as a Tea Party guy from Florida, where the seniors were, and Ryan coming down here and all that. And the Chicago alderman got a chance to give the Obama talking points, and what he didn't know is I get them every day, several times a day, from the Obama for Florida and Obama campaign, national campaign. So I already knew what he was going to say. So when he got done talking, it was my turn, and of course he spun it. Ryan and Romney are going to butcher butcher Medicare. It's going to cost them $6,350 more. They're going to lose a lot of their tushy programs that they like. Blah 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 blah. So I did my little thing, and I said, well, first of all, let me tell you what Obamacare has done. $716 billion of money has been taken from Medicare. $500 billion from Medicare that went over to fund Obamacare was what was called Medicare Advantage. It was the program that was designed to help the seniors with all those little hidden costs that were in there, and to also give them premium assistance in the event they needed it. Well, the seniors have lost that under Obamacare. That's what's made the thing so bad, and the $6,350 is exactly what some seniors are going to have to pay because, pardon me, of Obamacare. And you could have heard a pin drop.
Oh, absolutely. It's because Chicago aldermen are the foot soldiers of the Chicago machine. They will not deviate from the talking points, else they get called on the carpet, and rather viciously, by the hierarchy in Cook County. And this is what you're going to see progressive operatives do over the course of the rest of this election. They're going to try to redefine reality right in front of your eyes. And that's why you saw President Obama and all of his mouthpieces react so viciously when Republicans and Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney accurately put forward the fact that, you know what, the only person rating Medicare is Obama through Obamacare. Boy, they went ballistic on that. How could you say that? Well, you know what? Here's
true.
Magic potion that Paul Ryan has. It's called math.
Yeah, it's true, and all the numbers are verifying exactly what you said and exactly what I said. And folks, we're speaking with Frank Salvato. He is the managing editor of the New Media Journal. His website, newmediajournal.us. Well, Frank, there are some polls that have come out this week, major polls. It must have broken John Zogby's heart, who is a progressive left liberal from upstate New York, Utica, New York, a professor at Syracuse University, Utica College of Syracuse University in politics. His poll had Obama and Romney tied at 46%, and I know he tried every way to rig the numbers, but it didn't work. Then you had Gallup come out, Romney up by 2 percentage points. Then you had Rasmussen come out, Romney up by 3 percentage points. Then you had the Florida polls come out. We've got something called the purple poll down here. Romney's ahead by 1 percentage point there, an 11-point turnaround from the week prior. And we've got the Rasmussen poll came out with Romney up by 2 percentage points in Florida. But the big polling number was amongst the senior citizens, and this number is astounding. Amongst senior citizens, 54% are more fearful of President Barack Obama's health care plan. Mitt Romney now holds a 24 percentage point lead over Obama amongst Florida voters 55 and older.
And that's because they're not buying the BS that Obama's selling anymore, that the Republicans want to destroy Medicare and Social Security. With Ryan's plan finally getting some sunlight put to it, seniors are starting to understand that the only people who are trying to save the entitlement programs of Social Security and Medicare are Republicans and Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney. The Obama administration has done nothing. When he had Congress for 2 years under Democrat control, and he had the White House, they didn't do anything to save Medicare and Social Security. So they can't be too serious about it.
That's very true. And folks, are speaking with Frank Salvato, managing editor of the New Media Journal, newmediajournal.us. And while you're there, check out basicsproject.org. Well, in dealing with the election across the country, the Tea Party is alive and well and moving very rapidly into the center limelight across the country with the elections. A lot of Tea Party candidates on primary day Tuesday got elected to congressional posts where they're going to be running in the national campaign, also Senate posts. We had Connie Mack the Fork down here who made it to the issue, some other candidates around the country, and a lot of local people sponsored by the Tea Parties managed to move into the political arena. So for the people that are sitting there on the progressive left side of the aisle, hoping to say the Tea Party is not going to be a factor, they just once again woke up to the reality that here they come again.
Oh, sure, and that means not far behind this point in time are going to be the insults and the demagoguery of the people in the Tea Party movement. We're once again going to be called radical right-wingers and terrorists and people who want to push Granny over the cliff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When progressives start name-calling, that's when you know that their backs are against the wall. So I'm looking forward to the name-calling because I want their backs against the wall. Progressives are anti-American by nature. They're pro-Marxist by tenet. And they're just not good for the country. And the sooner Democrats learn to expunge the progressives from their ranks, the better it will be for our country.
Well, I went to a Walmart Supercenter yesterday, and I had my Tea Party shirt on, my Tea Party T-shirt. Just felt like wearing it. And there was a bunch of progressives out front, and I didn't know they were progressives, handing out brochures, and they were basically following people into the hallway of Walmart, which is a no-no, sticking brochures in their shopping carts and all that, and then sneaking back out the door. And somebody saw me coming, and they started calling me a teabagger, and they started singing and saying in unison. And all of a sudden, the greeter, who was standing there with a gentleman who I had no idea who it was, he just had a Walmart ID on, it was the store manager. He came out and told the people to leave.
Absolutely, and when you look at what the organization was that was promoting this, I'm sure you're going to find out that they've got some sort of tax-exempt status, which should be yanked, because you can't break the rules when you've got tax-exempt status.
Well, it was a Democratic group funded by Soros that was some sort of supposedly PAC, and these people all look like they'd been brought in on a bus or they woke up underneath a tree somewhere.
Well, I'm sure they were getting paid. That's what progressives do. They pay people to go out and pretend that they're actually engaged.
Yeah. Now, Frank, finally, the last comment I have to make is something pertaining to what you do. At newmediajournal.us, your website is very well prepared with new media news and information that a lot of people often can't find anywhere else. And then you have an organization called basicsproject.org. Tell us what it is that group does.
Basicsproject.org is our parent organization. It's a nonprofit educational organization that deals with teaching constitutional literacy and alerting our citizenry and people around the world, really, about the threats that liberty faces. And the two threats that are most potent right now happen to be the threats from the progressive movement, the ideological threat from the progressive movement, and the very physical threat from radical Islam trying to reestablish that caliphate around the world. When people understand these subjects better than they do today, they understand that we actually are facing a perfect storm.
All right, folks, his name is Frank Salvato, managing editor of the New Media Journal. That website, newmediajournal.us, and while you're there, check out basicsproject.org. Frank also has a radio show. How can we hear that, sir?
You can hear that at Net Talk World Global Talk Radio.
And I
know you'll like what you hear all day long.
And don't forget to check out the Facebook page, Net Talk World Global Talk Radio on Facebook, and the Captain's America Radio Show. Go there and like them and find out what's going on. Frank, we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good weekend.
All right, folks, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Enjoy the 100 greatest books of all time and never read a word. Listen to them instead on the Library of Classics MP3 player. Enjoy Moby Dick, Gulliver's Travels, Tom Sawyer, Little Women, and 96 more, all preloaded on the compact player. Listen while driving, gardening, working out, or relaxing in your favorite chair. It's the perfect companion for road trips or on a plane. For a limited time, you'll receive the easy-to-use MP3 player, headphones, belt clip, car adapter, and 100 classic audiobooks. You could easily spend over $1,000 to buy the entire collection. You get everything for just $99 plus shipping. That's less than $1 a book. Order now, and you'll also get 50 great classical music performances preloaded on the player. You're fully protected by our lifetime guarantee. If you are ever dissatisfied, get a complete refund, no questions asked. Call toll-free right now and order your Library of Classics.
1-800-721-5077, 1-800-721-5077. That's 1-800-721-5077.
These days, you can't afford to be wasting time or money, especially in business. That's why I stopped going to the post office and started using Stamps.com. Now, I print real U.S. postage for all my letters and packages using just my computer and printer. And now you can start saving time and money, too. Just go to 33stamps.com, and you'll get a...
That's 33stamps.com. Remember, 33stamps.com to save money.
Are you an inventor, or do you know an inventor who would like some free inventor's information? Call InventHelp, one of America's largest invention companies, and learn how to get free information. Call toll-free 800-348-6692. That's 800-348-6692. You'll learn how to attempt to patent your idea and submit it to industry. Call InventHelp right now at 800-348-6692. That's 800-348-6692.
Does credit card debt have you living paycheck to paycheck? Are you making minimum payments but only falling further behind? Then here's good news you'll love. Call the Thomas & Law Group and find out about our free, no-obligation debt elimination program, guaranteed to settle your credit card debt or you don't pay. That's right. We'll find the absolute best debt reduction solution for you or you pay nothing. It's called Pay for Performance, and you won't pay a dime until the job's done. No upfront fee, no monthly fees, no banking fees, nothing until your case is settled. No other law firm does that. I'm a paid spokesperson, not a lawyer, and every case is different. But if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, call the Thomas & Law Group to learn about our new Pay for Performance program. Appointment times are limited, so call 800-305-4814 and find the relief from credit card debt that you desperately need with the full weight of our law group behind you. 800-305-4814. 800-305-4814.
This is Frank Salvato, managing editor of NewMediaJournal.us. And you're listening to The Captain's America with Matt Bruce on the Phoenix Broadcasting Network.
Where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Captain's America radio show. Today we are live at the Villages here in Florida. Congressman Paul Ryan, the vice presidential pick for Mitt Romney, just came through about 2 hours ago, gave a speech. He's headed down now to Treasure Island in the Tampa Bay, Florida area, where he'll be at a major fundraiser this afternoon. I believe 3:30 is his scheduled appearance there until about 6:30 in the Tampa Bay area. Now, one of the things you didn't hear about and didn't see anything about because they really didn't amount to a hill of beans was there were about 15 to 20 Democratic protesters outside the Villages. They weren't allowed to come inside anywhere near the event. Outside the Villages, they were set up and they had some signs and they were doing some chanting and all that sort of stuff. But guess what? Nobody paid any attention to them. Nobody. It was a huge failure. A flop by any proportion. And why wouldn't it have been when you were in an area of Florida where 31,000 people reside, predominantly retirees, 65% of them here in the Villages, and oh, by the way, the majority of them are registered as Republicans, and they vote Republican. So why wouldn't it be that way with everything else that's going on here today? Now, I've got some people here with me. This gentleman I was standing right behind. I got the opportunity to shake Paul Ryan's hand right after he shook his hand. Now, I was standing there with a white Tea Party hat on that said, Tea Party and Proud. And I had my Captain's America polo shirt on with my credentials standing there about 2.5 rows in. And it was over to the right side as you were looking at the television screen, so I don't know exactly what was going on with that. But what I can tell you was this gentleman was directly in front of me, and his name is John Jagowitz. And, John, welcome to the show. Well, thank you very much, Captain, and I really appreciate you coming up here and doing what you're doing. And it's really nice that everybody got a chance to see and hear Paul Ryan. He impressed me. Well, let me ask you a question, John. You say he impressed you. How did he impress you? Was it what he said or the way he said it? Well, to be honest with you, it was all of the above because I expected to hear about Medicare and Social Security, something that most of us here in the Villages are involved in, and bringing his mother along and talking about his mother and mentioning the things that he did about his mom built her business. He told her, he says, you did build that. and that got a rousing a round of applause. It was just a tremendous thing for all of us here. A lot of us retirees with our own businesses came to Florida to enjoy the good life and the good weather. And, folks, that's John Jagowitz, and we do have another regular guest lined up sitting right here. And let's go now to Chris Markowski. More interviews from the Villages coming up. You're listening to the Captain's America Radio Show.
And I'll tell you what, it's another great day in the neighborhood. Always a pleasure and an opportunity that I look forward to being able to speak with the Watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski. Chris, how's it going today?
Very well.
Now, it's going pretty well down here in Florida for Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. There's a major poll that you and I are going to talk about right now that I guarantee you the Democrats won't talk about and any liberal won't want you to know about. That is the fact that the Ryan effect down here, an internal poll from the AARP, the Ryan effect on seniors age 65 and older. Mitt Romney now holds a 24-point advantage over Barack Obama in the state of Florida.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've been following and I've been talking about entitlements now for almost 2 decades and the need to reform them. I've written countless articles about it. And for the first time that I can remember, you've actually got a couple media people actually telling the truth about what Republicans actually want to do. I mean, not long ago we had commercials with Paul Ryan pushing a senior citizen off a cliff. When George W. Bush was president, we had bulldozers going through houses. But I couldn't believe it when I saw, Wolf Blitzer actually challenged Debbie Wasserman Schultz on the nonsense that she was saying. It was shocking to me.
Put her right in her place, too.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, honestly, maybe their nonsense isn't selling anymore. People are tired of hearing about it.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but maybe people are getting smarter and paying closer attention. I don't know. It's a weird effect that I'm trying to make details over right now.
The other thing, Chris, is that on Medicare, this same poll notes that 48% of Florida voters fear the president's health care law more than they fear Ryan's proposal on Medicare.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising either, because once again, more and more stuff comes out in regards to this health care bill. Nobody knows where the coverage is, how it's going to end up, where it's going to be, and it is very, very confusing. Most certainly for small businesses as well. So yeah, it's a very good sign to say the least. I mean, it's a very, very good sign that maybe people are starting to become a little bit more enlightened and starting to wake up to the reality. And not the hope and change unicorns and leprechauns.
Right, and folks, we're speaking with Chris Markowski. He is the Watchdog on Wall Street. We speak to him every week at this time. Now, Chris, 58% of the older voters have a more favorable opinion of Ryan, with 42% of the seniors saying they have a very favorable view of him, unlike the president, where he doesn't garnish. 47% is the top number for people having a favorable opinion of him. Now, Ryan is scoring higher even than Romney on a favorable issue.
Yeah, the president really doesn't say anything else except, Romney and Ryan want to, tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the rich. I mean, it's the same thing they're saying again and again and again, and I don't think people are buying it anymore. You got stories coming out where this is you take a look at the numbers. I mean, this is the worst economic recovery since World War II. I mean, the numbers are there. 100 million people right now on some sort of government welfare. Unemployment numbers just very, very bad. I think people are getting the blame Bush thing's not working anymore for the president. I think people need a change. I think that that things have just been so dismal for such a long period of time, and President Barack Obama promised so much. You go back to that. Well, he didn't really promise. He promised hope and change, but his policies haven't worked. I mean, they come out and they say that according to them, right now unemployment should be around 5%, and they got their stimulus package, they got their health care bill, they got all these things that they wanted for the first 2 years, and they just haven't panned out.
Yeah, and folks, you're speaking with Chris Markowski, the Watchdog on Wall Street. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com is his website, and you can go there and find out where his weekend syndicated show is heard all across the country. And in addition, he's heard weekdays in the Tampa Bay and Sarasota, Florida area on the Salem stations, AM 860 and AM 930. Now, Chris, the other thing, the Democrats are out there just yelling up and down and just screaming about the fact that Romney is a job killer, and they've inferred through an ad coming from a PAC that he's murdered a man's wife by having her die of cancer because her insurance was canceled. Then when all the facts were done, come to find out the woman had insurance, never used it, never told her husband. It was way too late. She was dying, and I guess she just wanted to go her own little way, and none of what we've heard about that Bain Capital ad was true. None.
Well, I'm gonna go one further. I'm gonna say, Matt, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Right.
The ads are gonna get worse.
Yes, they are.
It's gonna be worse. You're gonna start seeing ads where, some worker at one of those plants committed suicide after they lost their job, and they're gonna blame that on Mitt Romney. They're gonna get worse because these people are getting very, very desperate at this point in time. But for whatever reason it may be, it's turning people off. I think that the last gasp, I really do. I think they're going to run some negative ads. I don't think it's the way to go. I think that the president's going to resort to just promising more stuff. And I think that the big promises he's going to make is he's going to opt for a big student loan bailout and going to try to bail out. He's going to say we're going to bail out students and their student loan debt. He's going to come up with some sort of far-flung plan that'll never pass in a million years because, believe it or not, the youth vote is breaking towards Romney and Ryan at this point.
Oh, I do believe it. I do believe it.
They're starting to see that, their fiscal situation, the reality is they're the ones, that are going to be victims of all these government Ponzi schemes, and maybe they're starting to wake up a little bit.
Right, and folks are speaking with Chris Markowski, the Watchdog on Wall Street. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com is the website. I absolutely believe that about the young folks because I've been running into a lot of young folks in the Tampa Bay area going back and forth that are telling me that they like the choice of Paul Ryan. They can relate to that because he's a younger guy, and they like Mitt Romney because he's got the younger sons that are all working in business, and they're all doing very well. Plus, they understand, they get it that Mitt Romney's created a bunch of jobs. Now, the other thing that they also get, and I'll even toss into senior citizens with this one, is the fact that when it comes to Romney and it comes to Romney Care, he had to work across party lines in Massachusetts. Now, I remember him very well when he was the governor of Massachusetts. I actually met him when he was traveling with our then governor Jeb Bush down here in Florida when Vern Buchanan had his first congressional campaign. And Mitt Romney was brought in here, touted as a future presidential candidate by Jeb Bush, and we all kind of looked at each other and said, yeah, right. Now look at where we're at, right?
Well, I mean, you take a look at the life that he's lived an exemplary life.
Yep.
What are you going to do to go after this guy? I mean, the president's got a lot of nerve going after this guy when you take a look at his record and his life.
Yeah. Mitt Romney is a nice guy with a nice family, with a lovely wife who's suffering herself with illnesses and doesn't complain.
Well, and he's also, the amount of money he donates, 15% of his income goes to charity.
That's right. 1%
for Obama. He's done missionary work. He's done all sorts of things, wonderful things with his life. And, these are the type of people that we should praise. We should look up to. We should say, well, there's an exemplary individual. You want to be, somebody you want to be like. You model yourself after. And you compare to a guy like Barack Obama. The guy won't, he's all hidden. We know more about Mitt Romney than we do about Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And Barack Obama's been president for 4 years. They won't vet this guy. They won't get any of his transcripts. They won't even press him or ask questions about it. None of his writing. How did he get into Columbia? How did he get into Harvard?
I have an answer for that.
All of this stuff. Come on. It's pretty funny. His books have been proven to be. You got composite characters in autobiographies. I mean, what's that all about?
I have an answer as to how he got into college, Chris. I interview Wayne Allen Root, his former Columbia classmate, every week on the program. And last week, Wayne broke the news about the fact that that he believed that the reason that Obama got there and how come you didn't see him in class was he was a foreign exchange student in there on an Indonesian passport because he had dual citizenship at the time, or maybe he did or maybe he didn't, but he was there as a foreign exchange student, which explains the money, which explains why he wasn't in class, because the foreign exchange students were the only ones that didn't have to attend class all the time.
Well, I mean, no one even remembers him being there, for crying out.
That's right.
You can't find an old girlfriend of his. You can't find anybody that knew him in college.
Yep.
I mean, they went back to Mitt Romney when he was in high school,
right?
And try to get stuff on him and try to hit piece that didn't work out. You know, and you can't find anybody that knows this guy at all.
Right.
I mean, isn't that your job?
Yep.
And you know, it's like I said, it stinks to high heaven as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, and we're speaking with Chris Markowski, the Watchdog on Wall Street. His website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. Well, Chris, there's a poll out there, and the MSNBCers have been talking about it, that 16% of the country will not vote for a Mormon. But I've been talking to all kinds of people wherever I go, and they say that's got nothing to do with it. They're going to vote for the better candidate that can get us out of the mess that we're in, and they could care less what he is, as long as he can do what they think he says he's going to do.
Well, one of the most un-American things to me in the entire world is I'm not going to vote for somebody because of their religion.
That's right.
You're at the wrong country.
Yep.
Go. You know, you should move to some Islamic republic somewhere, or something like that, where everybody's the same. Or I mean, come on, you're in the wrong country. This is one of the things that makes this country great. This is one of the reasons why our country was founded. And you know, people who do stuff like that, I consider brain dead.
Well, I'm going to tell you again what I've said, and you've heard me say this before over the past several months. This is 1980 all over again. It's got all the same earmarks to it. The numbers are almost exactly where they were when Jimmy Carter was running a negative campaign against Ronald Reagan. The same circumstances have presented themselves. All of a sudden, we've got Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan jumping up upwards to 11% with the bounce from Ryan being announced as the VP candidate. And I'm telling you, right now, it looks like this is going to be 1980 because there's no longer 9 battleground states or 10 battleground states. Now there's 14, and Romney is leading or tied in 9 of them.
Yeah, you will see a. Let me tell you, if you're right, and I from your mouth to God's ears, Matt, you're going to see a stock market hit all-time highs. You're going to see some really interesting things happen because we're set up. You know, God's blessed this country in so many ways. The natural resources that we have here, the countries that are growing around the globe that we can aid and we can sell our natural resources to. You want to put away our debt? We could do that in no time. Okay, if we just actually went out and did the things that we need to do and actually got out of our own way. If we can go ahead and do that, I mean, really, the sky's the limit. And America's best days are not behind it; it's in front of us.
You bet.
And you need that type of leadership that people are going to turn this country around. Not a leadership where the government is going to do stuff for you and provide stuff for you, but unleash the ingenuity of the American people and the type of freedom that has made us the country that we are. We need to get those animal spirits. We need to get that mojo back that we used to have. And I think these guys can do it.
You bet, and I agree. And folks, we've been speaking with Chris Markowski, the Watchdog on Wall Street. Now, he's got a great website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. You can go there, find all about his nationally syndicated show, take advantage of the offers he has over there, and you can hear him locally in the Tampa Bay, Florida area on AM 860, AM 930, Monday through Friday from 5 to 6 a.m. in the morning. And on Wednesdays, if you turn in at 5:35, you'll hear yours truly opining with the Tea Party topics of the day, right, Chris?
You got it, and I really appreciate you doing that for me.
Hey, it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of Tea Party folks, and they are going to make the difference once again in this election. Mark my words.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, Matt. I really do. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic.
There you go. Okay, folks, the Captain's America Radio Show rolls on. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. Hi, everybody. This is the Captain, Matt Bruce. Make sure you're listening at 6:35, 8:35, and 10:35, starting Monday, August the 27th through Thursday, August the 30th, for live updates from the Republican National Convention in Tampa, right here on AM 1450 WWJB and FM 99.9 WXJB, the voice of the Nature Coast. For lunch today? Well, how about checking out the Pizza Hut $5 menu or buy a large pizza with your choice of toppings for only $10? Just think, your family or office can now have a very affordable way to enjoy a lunchtime meal at your favorite neighborhood Pizza Hut. That's Pizza Hut, where America goes, not only for pizza, but also wings and entrees that are good for you and good for your budget. Pizza Hut. Have you had your pizza today? Just tell them the Captain sent you.
Homeowners, did you know a burglar could break into your home and get away in just 5 minutes? A locked door may not be enough to keep a thief out of your home. Think about what you can lose, and then think about this. Now you can get a free security system monitored by ADT, the leader in home security. Pick up your phone now and get free hardware, free medical and fire alert, and free activation. It's an $850 value. Just call Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, at 1-800-860-0392. You'll get 24-hour protection, and there's no cost for parts or activation. So call now about a free security system monitored by ADT. Call 1-800-860-0392. $99 installation charge. 36-month monitoring agreement at $35.99 a month. Call for terms and conditions to this offer and protect your home license numbers. Call now. 1-800-860-0392. That's 1-800-860-0392.
Firefighters, EMS, law enforcement, military vets, current and former, listen up. This is the Captain. Have we got a deal for you? Get the credit you deserve for serving your country. Have you ever gone to buy a car or truck only to find out the interest rate you were being charged was twice as much as you thought it was going to be? Well, now you can go to DefendProtectServeAutoLoans.com to find out how we can save you money on your next auto purchase. That's DefendProtectServeAutoLoans.com. Call 855-937-2588 to find out more. That's 855-WE-SALUTE. Defend, Protect, Serve, Autoloans.com, 855-937-2588. That's 855-937-2588 to save money on your next auto loan. Tell them the Captain sent you.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness.
This is Frank Salvato from the New Media Journal. You're listening to the Captain's America on Net Talk World Global Talk Radio.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Captain's America radio show, more stimulating talk at your home of common sense. And we've got our World Threats Intel Analyst Supreme, Ryan Mauro. He also writes for RadicalIslam.org. But Ryan, welcome to the program, first of all.
Thank you for having me, as always.
And secondly, I want to talk about this OPSEC group. It is a group of former CIA officers, special operations soldiers, a few politicians, and some very patriotic individuals that believe the president has given away some of our classified information that's resulted in the deaths of American troops, special operation troops, possibly even those 30 Spec Ops guys that were killed in Afghanistan because the bad guys knew they were coming.
Well, this video is really powerful, and it's extremely well done, and it's going across at least the conservative blogosphere. I'm not sure how much it's getting to the middle, but I do know, as we were talking before the show began, that Fox News has been covering it. So this is a video that people should check out, and basically it interviews people who have put their lives on the line for this country, and they talk about how important it is to preserve intelligence and to not just leak it out there, especially when it's being done just to make the president look tough. There's serious repercussions to this type of activity, and even if there's not a direct result, a direct death from the release of particular information, you have to remember what our allies are thinking. You have to remember what sources are thinking. People that put their lives on the line to give us information aren't going to do so when they see this type of leaking going on.
And we're speaking with Ryan Mauro, World Threats Intel Analyst, the website worldthreats.com. He's the founder of that website, radicalislam.org. Well, the other thing is, he's trying to make himself look like this big, rough, tough, world affairs type person that he is not. And he's also trying to make himself look like as if he's rewriting the history book in some cases, because they're doing the same thing with Intel, by leaking Intel, that they're doing with the State Department by rewriting official State Department documents, including Obama, and referencing to every president that's been there, and this is ridiculous.
And even going beyond that, beyond just the political ramifications of what they're doing, in terms of rewriting strategy documents, one of the frightening things for me is how Muslim Brotherhood-founded organizations like the Muslim Public Affairs Council and other groups are being brought in by people like the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the Justice Department, to review our guidelines for doing things. And that's it's just a very scary precedent, and something I've been learning a lot more about how the federal government is bringing in outside groups with actions that should frighten all of us, and using them as a resource and using them to essentially formulate policy.
Yeah, and that's a big mistake. Big mistake. It's called sleeping with the enemy, where I come from, and we're speaking with Ryan Mauro, the founder of worldthreats.org, .com rather, and radicalislam.org. Okay, you mentioned the Muslim Brotherhood. I understand the Muslim Brotherhood now is alive and well and active in Syria. They've set up an army to compete with the Free Syria Army, and this could be big trouble down the line.
Right, the Muslim Brotherhood has set up its own independent militia in Syria, so that they now physically control territory in Syria with the force of arms. And that's bad for a few reasons, because first of all, you don't want the Muslim Brotherhood having its own militia, obviously. But secondly, people embrace those that are going to protect them. And when the situation is as chaotic as it is in Syria, this gives the Muslim Brotherhood a network to recruit from, to establish institutions. So it's very frightening. But the good news about this is that this really makes it clear for us who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, because now the Free Syrian Army has split from this Muslim Brotherhood militia, and we can tell who's who. And that's been a very big problem that we've had, is that when we arm the rebels, we don't know who's who, but if the Muslim Brotherhood separates itself and forms a militia, then it becomes easier for us.
And how has Al-Qaeda fared in all of this?
Al-Qaeda's just kind of doing their own thing. The Muslim Brotherhood wants to cast itself as this moderate force. The Muslim Brotherhood doesn't go around killing other Muslims, so there are some differences with Al-Qaeda. So Al-Qaeda right now is very isolated in Syria. They don't have a ton of support, but they're still very active there. And it's not that hard to find reports of Al-Qaeda-type militants and terrorists in Syria providing training to people that otherwise wouldn't be extremists, simply because they have the expertise and the weapons and equipment that they need.
Well, the other day on the Syrian border with Turkey, Fox News' Steve Harrigan was broadcasting a live report, and artillery fire rained down right on top of his position. Now, who is it that fired at him? Because he said he would never go back to Syria. It just came too close.
That was Assad. The Assad regime is the ones with the artillery, so that's very clear there, and also the Assad regime is the ones that hate the media. They don't want outside sources of information there on the ground, whereas the rebels do want outside media there because they want people to see exactly what's going on, just how horrible the situation it is. And the rebels also want to influence the media because the good guys are tired of being coupled in with Al-Qaeda. They get very offended at it.
Now, we mentioned Al-Qaeda a minute ago. Let's mention what Al-Qaeda's been up to in the Sinai Desert, because it looks like as if they're the ones likely to blame for a bombing attack that killed 16 Egyptian soldiers about a week ago.
It sure does seem like it. There was another attack over the summer that was similar, that Al-Qaeda in the Sinai Peninsula, that's their branch there, is believed to be connected to, and it really does look like Al-Qaeda. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood, of course, says that Israel's behind it. Even if Islamic terrorists carry out a terrorist attack, somehow the Jews are behind it. And normally that type of rhetoric you can just make fun of and say, oh, that's the Muslim Brotherhood's crazy talk, but developments over the past week make this much more frightening. What's happened is that the Muslim Brotherhood president has fired the top military generals, who we thought couldn't be replaced, that they were the ones controlling all of the power. And the Muslim Brotherhood fired them and replaced them with more junior officers that are sympathetic to the Muslim Brotherhood. So now the Muslim Brotherhood has cemented its control over the military. So if the Muslim Brotherhood says Israel has attacked Egypt, then Muslim Brotherhood has the capacity to retaliate.
Now, you live in New Jersey, right?
I do.
Your governor's Chris Christie, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Why is he having dinner with a bunch of radical Islamics?
Because he doesn't get it. Because he was a prosecutor that prosecuted terrorists as the U.S. attorney, he thinks he's a terrorism expert. He only knows how to fight homegrown terrorists to set bombs off. He has no idea about the Islamist ideology, Hamas, and the Muslim Brotherhood. And the imam that is the most influential on his administration is Imam Qatanani, a man that the Department of Homeland Security wants to kick out of the country for lying on his green card about the fact that the Israelis convicted him for his involvement with Hamas. But Christie is out there defending the guy. He's working with Qatanani's friends. If you look at officials across the country, Christie is one of the most friendly ones to the Islamists.
Okay, and that explains that, because obviously there's a line being drawn in the sand about Chris Christie and his fraternization with these radical extremists. And folks, we're speaking with Ryan Morrow, the founder of WorldThreats.com and also a writer for RadicalIslam.org. All right, Ryan, coming out of Syria, I've not had confirmation of this, so I don't know for sure, but it appears as if a Russian general and his translator may have been killed in an attack from the Free Syrian Army. Is that right?
It seems that that's what the rebels are claiming. It's a big claim. It would be very dumb of them to make a big claim like that and have it just be false, because it would really discredit all of their information. But there is no confirmation, but it seems likely because we know the Russians are in Syria. We know that they've dispatched advisors to help Assad kill his own people. So it does seem very likely. And by the way, Iran, as we've talked about a lot, is involved on the ground in Syria, and so is Hezbollah. And Iran is now saying that Syria is the red line, and that they blame Israel for the revolution against Assad, and that Israel could be attacked, potentially with WMDs. That's according to a column in one of the regime's newspapers, in order to prevent Assad's fall. So they are now linking Assad's fate with the fate of Israel.
Well, there's something else that's being found out about, too, and that is the fact that it looks like as if the Free Syrian Army has now captured an Iranian drone.
Yes, I saw that report, and it wouldn't surprise me because Iran is deploying all levels of technology that they possibly can. By the way, the Free Syrian Army has, they say kidnapped, but they've captured 48 Iranians that were being transported on a bus owned by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. The U.S. has confirmed that those are, at least some of them, are regime agents.
Yeah, and they are Iranian Revolutionary Guard soldiers, is what I was told.
Yep, and the U.S. has confirmed that that's true for at least some of the 48 hostages.
Now, my final question about the Middle East is, here sits Israel in the midst of everything that's going on. Now you're telling me about a threat. As Syria goes, so does Israel. You're telling me about another threat involving weapons of mass destruction. But we're also hearing that Israel is sitting there with their fingers on the button and literally their pulse on the trigger, getting ready to go after the Iranian nuclear facility. What's the status?
Well, fact is that Israel, particularly Bibi Netanyahu, is saying that they have to strike by the end of October because that's when Iran reaches the zone of immunity. And once Iran reaches that, then Israel no longer has the option to take out Iran's nuclear weapons program, which would mean that they would have to leave it up to the United States, and they're not willing to do that. They're not going to gamble their survival on the hope that the U.S. is going to do their work for them.
And the election is November the 6th, so you're telling me they're going to attack Iran before our election?
That's the message that they're putting out. This could be an attempt to influence the election. It could be an attempt to just get the U.S. to ratchet up pressure. It's hard to tell, but the Israelis are taking the threat very seriously. The British, on the other hand, are saying that Iran won't get a nuclear weapon until 2014. So you have these different timelines for the different countries in the West. But a senior Israeli official just said yesterday that a decision on attacking Iran is only weeks away.
All right, folks. Well, his name is Ryan Mauro. He's the founder of WorldThreats.com, and he's the writer for RadicalIslam.org, all things pertaining to the radical Islamics that you hear. And, Ryan, we're honored and privileged to have you on the show each week at this time, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right, I'll talk to you then.
All right, folks, the Captain's America radio show rolls on. We're coming right back.
Folks, this is the Captain. Want to save 30 to 70% of your prescription medications? Well, listen up because I'm going to tell you how. Call 1-877-662-5441 and mention code number 67722 to save $29.95 right off the bat and have your list of medications ready so a customer care rep can tell you how much you'll save by becoming a member of Discount Prescription Services. That's 1-877-662-5441 and mention code number 67722 and start saving money today.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud,
Did you know that dehydration starts before you're thirsty? Most people live their lives in stages of dehydration, causing fatigue, anxiety, irritability, depression, and headaches. There is an answer, and it's ultra-pure polarized water. Wata, that is. Wata, an AquaNew water, is refreshing and smooth as silk to drink. Visit our website to learn more at aquanew.com or order online. Find out about store locations and our free local delivery information. Call 1-888-936-2782. Wata, improving life one swallow at a time.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare with your children being raised by someone else? With our free information, you can lead a less stressful life, work from home, and start earning money as soon as next week.
I was about to be laid off from a company that was going bankrupt. On top of that, I wanted my kids to have mommy care, not daycare. My first month, I made $1,000 part-time. After 90 days, I was home with my children, and for the past 7 years, I've been here for my 3 little girls. I love this business.
Go to freedom130.com. Get out of the rat race and start earning great money as soon as next week.
I was skeptical. However, I had to get out of corporate America. Both me and my wife were able to quit our jobs and now make over $10,000 a month from home.
Go to freedom130.com right now and change your life today.
This is Frank Salvato, Executive Director of BasicsProject.org. And you're listening to The Captain's America with Matt Bruce on the ABC Star Guide satellite system.
Where the stars and stripes and the eagles fly.
And hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am the captain, Matt Bruce, and we are sitting here talking with the professor of politics. His name is Kyle Warren. Now, Kyle Warren, the professor of politics, a good friend of mine. I've been talking to him for a number of years. And, Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Captain. Great to be here.
Now, I got to remind everybody that you live out there in La La Land in California with the likes of Nancy Pelosi and Barbara Boxer. I guess Barbara Boxer's the closest to you. Is that right?
Probably so, yeah. Senator Boxer, yeah.
All right. Now, the fact of the matter is, you got some real losers out there, or loonies, or whatever you want to call them. I'm calling them losers, because the Democrats right now are just absolutely coming out and flagrantly lying about Paul Ryan, and there's such a tremendous enthusiasm level right now on the right side of the aisle. The conservatives have come out in support of him. The Tea Party's happy as a lark. They're drawing big crowds. I mean, what else can you say that isn't positive?
Well, I think that a lot of the criticism that you'll hear about Paul Ryan and so forth is really going to be based in a real desperation. I think that many Democrats see this whole thing, sort of slipping away. I think that there's not a whole lot of cooperation, as it were, or enthusiasm, probably a better word, between high-level Democrats and Barack Obama. I think that it's very difficult for them to go out and carry the water and so forth for him. He has not really been effective, I think, in working with folks on Capitol Hill, or even of his own party, even more importantly. So I do think there's not a whole lot of enthusiasm, but where Paul Ryan is concerned, I think, again, it's a lot of desperation. Because, Captain, I think that the selection of Paul Ryan is going to focus this campaign onto the issues that Barack Obama certainly does not, and other Democrats, of course, certainly do not want you talking about, or the American people talking about. That, of course, is the economy, and even to a great degree, the budget, and, of course, also entitlements. And I recall back in 2008 when Barack Obama was out campaigning, and he said, we noticed something, that our poll numbers go up when we talk about the economy, and John McCain doesn't want us talking about the economy. Well, guess what? We're going to keep talking about the economy. And here we are 4 years later. The tables have truly been turned. Barack Obama, he absolutely, I think, in the minds of the American people, has ownership of this economy. And Barack Obama would love for you to talk about anything else other than that. Where Paul Ryan is going to be so key in this. Paul Ryan, and a lot of people don't know a lot about Paul Ryan, so that's one of the things that the Romney-Ryan campaign is going to have to really roll out and begin to really introduce him. But I think once they begin to hear Paul Ryan speak, as you and I have heard him speak, extensively, of course, I think people will find out that he's a smart guy. He knows the details of these things. He doesn't have to bone up with 3x5 cards. He's absolutely in the middle of all this stuff. And to talk about these major issues, our budget, our economy in general, he is going to absolutely, I think, electrify not only the base of the Republicans, but also independents out there who are saying to themselves, where are these real solutions coming from? So it's going to be a great deal, I think, for the Romney campaign.
And we're speaking with Kyle Warren. Kyle is the professor of politics. I call him that because he is. Now, the other thing, Kyle, that needs to be addressed out there is the fact that I have interviewed Paul Ryan back in 2010 at a Tea Party event that I was a part of up in Atlanta, Georgia. And I got an opportunity to interview him for a short time. I was very impressed by his knowledge, his numbers, his facts, his figures. I mean, he can just relay them just like snapping your fingers. And I really think that this is going to be, when he gets into the debates with Joe Biden, I think it's going to be like a French poodle going up against an alligator, with the alligator being Paul Ryan.
Well, I was sort of musing on my program earlier today, Captain, that I think Joe Biden's going to have to come up with some crisis at the time that the debate happens, or he might just go speak somewhere for 4 hours and just go to sort of miss the debate, as it were.
Well, there's a crisis looming, Kyle, because it looks like as if Israel is getting ready to attack Iran.
Well, this is true, and I think, again, especially when it comes to issues like this, we are seeing sort of a dearth of leadership, from the Obama administration, and I think a lot of that has to do with the idea that Barack Obama just doesn't understand to a great degree the what's happening throughout the Middle East and how that's affecting American interests. And especially the interest of Israel and so forth. And I think that one of the reasons why it gets to this point is that there's not decisive leadership in Washington, and the enemies of Israel, for example, in this case Iran, believe that they can continue to ramp up these kinds of provocative, not only sayings that they make, but the actual commencement of building weapons and saying we're moving forward with this kind of stuff. And I think Israel at some point its hand is forced, and I think that as sort of an academic issue that is talked about in Washington, it's a very, very different thing when your country is, like 9 miles thick at one point, and you've got people on all sides of you who do not like you and want to push you into the ocean. It's a very, very different thing, and Israel may have to act. They've done so in the past. One of the things that they will be looking for, of course, is what kind of support would they get from their ally, the United States. With Barack Obama, I think they feel it's kind of iffy. With somebody like Mitt Romney, they may feel a lot stronger about that.
Well, what we're hearing coming out of Israel is that, and this is from the military sources that are there, if they think that Iran is ready to load a warhead onto one of their missiles, which apparently they are very close to doing, they are going to stop them dead in their tracks.
Well, and they really have no choice. I mean, if this, as I said, it's a question of proximity. If the United States had an enemy that was right next door and was doing this very thing, we would have to be taking action. The Israelis, as I said, they have their hand forced in this, and it will be interesting to see the reaction from Washington, but also the reaction from other Middle East nations. But right, if somebody's going to try to wipe you out, they've said they want to wipe you off the map. But you have to protect yourself.
Well, here's my final political question for you, Kyle. And folks are speaking with Kyle Warren, the professor of politics. And by the way, he's host of his own show, The Kyle Warren Show. My last political question is about California. Jerry Brown obviously is trying to become more of a conservative. He has no choice but to lean to the right and start balancing his budget and get things under control. What type of campaign is being waged out there between the Democrats and the Republicans? What's the big difference out there? Have the Democrats finally got the message about the economy?
Well, in terms of the legislature in general, I don't think so. I think that you continue to hear the same kinds of things in the sense that, hey, don't worry, there are plenty of rich people out there, or we'll just continue to raise taxes. But yes, Governor Brown, I think, because also this is his second time around as being governor after a long space of time, almost 30 years or so, but he's also older now, and I do think that he has made some attempts at trying to get a hold on this, because he doesn't have anything to lose. He doesn't necessarily have to run again and so forth. But, he has tried to do some of these things, but the legislature in general is not getting the message yet. You're still going to see businesses leaving California. You're still going to see, other issues continue to drag California down. And then you have this train thing that's going on and so forth, billions of dollars there. The people of California, especially California business, need the same kinds of solutions that we need at a national level, and that's why California has always sort of been that microcosm of the national economy. And as California goes, unfortunately, I think the rest of the nation will go unless we get a handle on these things that Romney and Ryan want to do.
Yeah, and folks, his name is Kyle Warren, host of the Kyle Warren Show. You're listening to the Captain's America radio show on the Phoenix Broadcasting Talk Network. Phoenix Broadcasting Talk Network, where quality talk radio shows come to be heard.
Everybody, this is the Captain, and we're excited to tell you the great news about our show now being heard on Liberty Bell Radio. That's Liberty Bell Radio. Go there to hear the best conservative talk radio, the Captain's America, weekdays, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Central Time on Liberty Bell Radio. folks. This is the Captain. Did you know that now you can hear my show on your iPhone, iTouch, and soon iPad with the TSL mobile talk radio app that's in the iStore on TalkStreamLive.com? Well, just go to www.TalkStreamLive.com to find out how you can hear us anytime, anywhere on your favorite wireless device. Thanks for tuning in to the Captain's America Radio Show. And now more from your favorite radio station.
The Keystone Pipeline controversy is so transparent as to be laughable. The deal struck during the budget debates gives the president 60 days to make a decision to approve or deny the project. At stake are 20,000 direct jobs and 120,000 indirect jobs, not to mention lower energy prices and freedom from the Middle East oil. The debate over the pipeline rings hollow when you realize there are right now 625,000 miles of pipeline running through the United States. It is impossible not to believe that the approval or denial will be made for political reasons. It is simply too obvious. This thought-provoking message is brought to you by Taking Our Country Back, their Inglewood Tea Party, located at 167 West Dearborn Street, Inglewood, Florida.
Hello, everyone. This is Chris Markowski, your watchdog on Wall Street, and you're listening to the guy that's all about truth, justice, and the American way. No, not Superman. That's right, the Captain. You're listening to Captain's America with Matt Bruce.
Enjoy the 100 greatest books of all time and never read a word. Listen to them instead on the Library of Classics MP3 player. Enjoy Moby Dick, Gulliver's Travels, Tom Sawyer, Little Women, and 96 more, all preloaded on the compact player. Listen while driving, gardening, working out, or relaxing in your favorite chair. It's the perfect companion for road trips or on a plane. For a limited time, you'll receive the easy-to-use MP3 player, headphones, belt clip, car adapter, and 100 classic audiobooks. You could easily spend over $1,000 to buy the entire collection. You get everything for just $99 plus shipping. That's less than $1 a book. Order now and you'll also get 50 great classical music performances preloaded on the player. You're fully protected by our lifetime guarantee. If you are ever dissatisfied, get a complete refund, no questions asked. Call toll-free right now and order your Library of Classics.
1-800-721-5077, 1-800-721-5077. That's 1-800-721-5077.
Homeowners, did you know a burglar could break into your home and get away in just 5 minutes? A locked door may not be enough to keep a thief out of your home. Think about what you can lose, and then think about this. Now you can get a free security system monitored by ADT, the leader in home security. Pick up your phone now and get free hardware, free medical and fire alert, and free activation. It's an $850 value. Just call Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, at 1-800-860-0392. You'll get 24-hour protection, and there's no cost for parts or activation. So call now about a free security system monitored by ADT. Call 1-800-860-0392. $99 installation charge. 36-month monitoring agreement at $35.99 a month. Call for terms and conditions to this offer and protect your home license numbers. Call now. 1-800-860-0392. That's 1-800-860-0392.
Attention business owners and individuals who owe the IRS. Do you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes? You need aggressive representation. Call Certified Tax now and speak to one of our tax attorneys, enrolled agents, or tax professionals who specialize in tax liens, back taxes, tax debt, wage garnishment, and collections. We won't waste your time. Instead, we'll be on the phone with the IRS within 30 minutes of you becoming a client. And you can become a client right now. We've settled millions of dollars in tax issues for a fraction of the cost. Find the peace of mind knowing the IRS will not be knocking at your door. Protect your home, business, and family today. We know the tax laws, and we act fast. Call today for your free, no-obligation consultation. 1-800-564-8537. Remember, we'll be on the phone with the IRS within 30 minutes of you becoming a client. That's guaranteed. Call Certified Tax at 800-564-8537. That's 800-564-8537. Again, 800-564-8537.
Hi, everybody. This is the Captain, Matt Bruce. Make sure you're listening at 6:35, 8:35, and 10:35, starting Monday, August the 27th through Thursday, August the 30th, for live updates from the Republican National Convention in Tampa, right here on AM 1450 WWJB and FM 99.9 WXJB, the voice of the Nature Coast.
Out the hour here with Wayne Allyn Root. Wayne Allyn Root, I call him Mr. Libertarian because I believe he is. He's a former vice presidential candidate back in 2008, a classmate of Barack Obama. And Wayne, welcome to the Captain's America Radio Show.
Hey, Captain. Always great to be on with you.
Well, we always have a lot of fun, and I'll tell you what, Paul Ryan, since we last talked, is now the GOP vice presidential pick to run with Mitt Romney. He's coming to Florida tomorrow up at the Villages, which is where the largest Tea Party group in the state of Florida is, about 3,500 members strong. We expect about 10,000 people there tomorrow. I'm going to be there with the radio show, but I just heard that a Democrat operative who is a reporter for the Huffington Post is going to be leading the demonstration against Paul Ryan outside the venue.
Well, that's typical. The media doesn't hide their prejudices and their biases very well anymore. You know, it's funny. Forget about Huffington Post. They're as liberal as they get. There's no point even trying to discuss it. They are a liberal organization that happens to have been bought for $312 million by AOL, a public company. So that one's interesting. But how about even like the NBC Evening News, Captain? You know, I've watched that my whole life. You know how people say once you're stuck on something, you kind of stay there for life as a consumer?
Yep.
Well, my parents introduced me to the NBC Evening News 40 years ago, and I've watched it at least 3, most times 5 times a week for the last 40 years. And I used to love Tom Brokaw. Now it's Brian Williams. When I watched the Evening News, I guess it was 3 weeks ago, when Mitt Romney went to Europe, to Poland, to Israel, to England, it was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen. They bent over backwards like they were the Obama propaganda network to make sure that Romney looked terrible, even though his comments were all fine. You and I discussed this on your radio show.
Yeah.
I've never seen such a biased attempt to destroy one candidate and take his comments out of context in all my years. And now I realize that I've been watching a show all these years that's biased and controlled by the liberal left and doesn't even make an attempt to be fair anymore.
Well, I go back to the days of Chet Huntley and David Brinkley, and they did a pretty good job of being fair and balanced before Fox came along. And then there was John Chancellor, and he used to be pretty good at it, too, and tried to really balance both sides of the issue. Now, that is long gone. We're never going to see that again from that particular network.
Yeah, long gone. But I'll tell you what, they tried to be balanced, but we all know what their real opinions were behind the scenes.
Yep.
The media's always been left.
Yep.
And now they're just not even making an attempt to hide it anymore. It's embarrassing. And I've told the story in your show many times about, my class at Columbia where they clapped and cheered and gave a standing ovation when they thought Reagan had been killed, had been assassinated. So, all of those people grew up and went into the media. When I look back at my pages of Columbia College today, all of these students that cheered for the death of Reagan are now interspersed as the top members of the United States media. You really don't need to know anything more than that.
Right. Now, we've got some really good things going on down here in Florida besides Paul Ryan. The announcement of Paul Ryan to the ticket has absolutely electrified the Tea Party down here, and now the polling data in the state of Florida is showing a huge advantage for Romney and Ryan because of Medicare. The senior citizens get it. They get it. And they understand that nothing will happen to them above the age of 55 the way their Social Security and Medicare is currently set up, unlike what we're hearing from the Democratic side of the aisle.
Yeah, well, you remember 3 months ago I wrote that I believed Romney would win in a landslide. It was one of my most popular video commentaries ever, about 100,000 people.
Right there with you. Yep.
And listen, I still think that was based on him picking Marco Rubio. I still think if Romney picked Rubio, it would have been a better choice. It would have iced Florida, not given him a slight advantage, but a landslide advantage, and I think it would have given Romney Hispanic votes around the country. I still think that would have been a smarter move, but I've written a commentary that I do believe Paul Ryan was a brilliant choice, still not as good, second to a Marco Rubio, but nonetheless a good choice that establishes the difference between sanity and insanity, between cutting government, cutting spending, and raising government and raising spending even bigger under Obama in a second four-year administration. And most importantly, I think he's the smartest guy in the room. Paul Ryan proves that Obama is not the brilliant genius everyone thinks he is. If you go to Google and you go to YouTube, excuse me,
yeah.
and you kind of Google the idea of Paul Ryan debating Obama, you will see Paul Ryan at a congressional get-together schooling Obama on Obamacare.
Yep.
He knows by far more about Obamacare than Barack Obama does. Obama is a empty suit. You know, it really turns out he's not that bright a guy. He's a good salesman if the sales pitch is on a teleprompter, but he doesn't know a darn thing about the very things he's promoting. And Paul Ryan is brilliant, Captain.
Yeah.
That was the smartness of this move, was that you put a bright guy who knows every line of the budget so he can follow Obama around. That was my advice. And Rush Limbaugh this week said the Republican Party needs to follow Wayne Root's advice because he read this article on the air. And he said Wayne Root is brilliant. He's on the money. You gotta let Paul Ryan follow Obama around the country. Everywhere Obama goes, have Paul Ryan show up the same day or the next day to repudiate every word Obama says and prove he's a phony and all his math is fraudulent.
Yeah, I heard Rush say that because we're the affiliate for Rush Limbaugh, and I heard him say that, and I just chuckled when he said it. But here's the thing. Romney now holds a 24-point lead over Obama amongst Florida voters 55 years of age and older, and that is phenomenal. That's the #1 voting bloc in the state of Florida right there.
Yeah, listen, if the media was honest, Matt, here's what they would say. They would stop saying that there's a gender gap and Romney has a problem, he can't get women voters, and they would stop saying that Romney can't get black voters and Hispanic voters. If they were honest, they'd report the equal side, the other side. They would say that Romney has a 20-plus point lead among white voters, as well as that 24-point lead in Florida among 55 and older.
Yep.
They would report that he does fantastic among men, and that Obama has a male problem, as well as a white problem, as well as an older problem. But they don't want to report that. They only want to report the negative things about the Republican candidate. So, listen, there's a lot of good things happening right now. Latest polls I saw is Romney's in a solid lead in North Carolina, a state Obama won 4 years ago.
Right.
Romney's dead even in Wisconsin, a state that was given up for dead.
Yep.
Romney is leading by 16 points in Indiana, a state that Obama won 4 years ago. And now you're telling me he's doing well in Florida.
That's right.
I think that things are turning very bad and very ugly for Obama, just as you and I were smart enough to predict 3 months ago. The problem is he's going to go nuclear. This guy's not going to go down. This Chicago thug and his team of thugs like Axelrod, David Axelrod, and Rahm Emanuel, that group will not take this standing lightly. They're going to go down in a thermonuclear attack. They're going to take on Republicans with the most vicious, below-the-belt, disgusting things you've ever seen. We've already got a taste with that man claiming his wife died of cancer because of Mitt Romney, and of course the statement by Biden about you'll go back. They're going to put you back in chains to a black audience. Disgusting, not befitting the office of the president or vice president of the United States. And folks, it's only going to get uglier, and it's only going to get worse.
Now, Wayne, let's talk about the article that you wrote, which really went viral recently, about Barack Obama at Columbia when you were his classmate. And the reason for him being there and for not showing up for classes and all of that could have been because he might have been a foreign exchange student. Explain.
Yeah, or a foreign national. I found out since I wrote that the better term is foreign national. What I would say is that Obama clearly did not have good grades in high school. He was a pot smoker, didn't care, and yet he got into Occidental, a fairly decent college, and then he clearly did not have good grades at Occidental. Everyone who was there with him says all he did was attend Marxist meetings and smoke pot, and rarely went to class, and yet he got into one of the best 5 schools in America, Columbia University, my school. I was his classmate, and then he clearly didn't do well at Columbia, or his records wouldn't be sealed. I never saw him in class ever, and I thought I knew everyone in the political science department. So if I didn't see him in class, then he wasn't studying, he wasn't attending class, he was getting straight C's, he took a gentleman's C. So how did he get into Harvard Law School? And the answer to all of that, as a common-sense person who's good at putting clues together, I'm almost like a detective in real life. I'm an odds maker in Las Vegas and a very successful one. The only answer that would have gotten him into all 3 schools is that he was a foreign national. He applied to college as an Indonesian citizen. How did he become an Indonesian citizen? This is not a birther argument. This isn't something that can be attacked badly. He went to Indonesia with his mom when she married an Indonesian citizen. And he became an Indonesian citizen because that's the only way to go to Indonesian school, and he went to Indonesian public schools. When he came home, he never bothered to change back his citizenship, and then found out he could use it as a big advantage to get into the best colleges in America. And that's what I believe Obama did. It also explains how in the summer of '81, he traveled to Pakistan when no American at the time was allowed to travel to Pakistan without with an American passport. You couldn't do it, so he did it with an Indonesian passport. Why does any of this matter, Captain? I'll tell you why. Pretty simple. Because either he committed fraud when he went to college and said he was an Indonesian foreign national when he wasn't, or he really was, in which case he's committing fraud on the American people right now. He has no right to be president of the United States. So this is the type of story that if the national mainstream media cared, could actually take down the president of the United States, but they don't seem to care.
Now, we are sitting here as we record this for broadcast on the weekend, live, of course, for the Friday show here in the Tampa Bay area. But it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a little bit after that, and you notice what hasn't come out today, namely the job numbers?
Yeah, no job numbers yet. I'm sure they're going to be bad, although having said that, you know what's funny? I think that these numbers have always been fixed by the government. They're not as bad as they should be. Obama is really fixing the numbers because they're using different measurements than they used to. And so the measurements that they used back in 1929, if you use the same ones today, our unemployment would be right at 20%. So, even when they come out, Captain, and we say they're bad, they're 8.3, that's not accurate. 8.3 doesn't include all those who've dropped off the list and aren't looking anymore, and it doesn't include all those who never got on the unemployment list. If someone like me owns their own business and the business goes under, you can't collect unemployment.
That's right.
There are thousands of small businesses like that, and anybody who's underemployed in a part-time job but would like a full-time job, they're not counted either. So we really are right in the range of 18 to 20% is the real number, and that's worse than 10
that is right.
of the Great Depression.
And, folks, we've been speaking today with Wayne Allen Root, Mr. Libertarian, the website rootforamerica.com, rootforamerica.com. And, Wayne, what do we all want to do?
We want to root for America.
All right, and, Wayne, we look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Actually, you'll miss me for one.
Oh, that's right. You're going to
go enjoy the convention.
Hi, everybody. This is the Captain, Matt Bruce. Make sure you're listening at 6:35, 8:35, and 10:35, starting Monday, August the 27th through Thursday, August the 30th, for live updates from the Republican National Convention in Tampa, right here on AM 1450 WWJB and FM 99.9 WXJB, the voice of the Nature Coast.
They held thousands of coffee klatches all over the country, where they invited their neighbors to come and listen to a record made by a well-known actor on the evils of socialized medicine.
My name is Ronald Reagan. One of the traditional methods of imposing statism or socialism on a people has been by way of medicine. The doctor begins to lose freedoms. It's like telling a lie, and one leads to another. A doctor decides he wants to practice in one town, and the government has to say to him, you can't live in that town. They already have enough doctors. You have to go someplace else. All of us can see what happens once you establish the precedent that the government can determine a man's working place and his working methods, and behind it will come other federal programs that will invade every area of freedom as we have known it in this country, until one day we will awake to find that we have socialism.
Hey ho, Captain, it's Melvin with my bass boat, and I gotta confess, I saw that footage the other day of them Navy vessels blowing that Iranian thing out the water. Well, I gotta say, I need me one of them. You know, these people out here fishing and stuff, trying to float your boat up and down the intercoastal, and you got a bunch of junkards up in here. It ain't no dang different, is it? In fact, that's what that guy looked like, driving his boat all over yonder, thing going up and zigging, zagging back. You can't blame him for blowing him out the water, and 90% of the time, that's what I want to do, too, if I had one of them things. Sorry about that, Captain. I didn't mean to get caught up in the spirit.
These days, you can't afford to be wasting time or money, especially in business. That's why I stopped going to the post office and started using Stamps.com. Now, I print real U.S. postage for all my letters and packages using just my computer and printer. And now you can start saving time and money, too. Just go to 33stamps.com and you'll get a...
That's 33stamps.com, 33stamps.com, to start saving money today and use your computer to print postage.
Are you an inventor, or do you know an inventor who would like some free inventor's information? Call InventHelp, one of America's largest invention companies, and learn how to get free information. Call toll-free 800-348-6692. That's 800-348-6692. You'll learn how to attempt to patent your idea and submit it to industry. Call InventHelp right now at 800-348-6692. That's 800-348-6692.
Enjoy the 100 greatest books of all time and never read a word. Listen to them instead on the Library of Classics MP3 player. Enjoy Moby Dick, Gulliver's Travels, Tom Sawyer, Little Women, and 96 more, all preloaded on the compact player. Listen while driving, gardening, working out, or relaxing in your favorite chair. It's the perfect companion for road trips or on a plane. For a limited time, you'll receive the easy-to-use MP3 player, headphones, belt clip, car adapter, and 100 classic audiobooks. You could easily spend over $1,000 to buy the entire collection. You get everything for just $99 plus shipping. That's less than $1 a book. Order now and you'll also get 50 great classical music performances preloaded on the player. You're fully protected by our lifetime guarantee. If you are ever dissatisfied, get a complete refund, no questions asked. Call toll-free right now and order your Library of Classics.
1-800-721-5077, 1-800-721-5077. That's 1-800-721-5077.
Firefighters, EMS, law enforcement, military vets, current and former, listen up. This is the captain. Have we got a deal for you? Get the credit you deserve for serving your country. Have you ever gone to buy a car or truck only to find out the interest rate you were being charged was twice as much as you thought it was going to be? Well, now you can go to Defend, Protect, Serve, Autoloans.com to find out how we can save you money on your next auto purchase. That's Defend, Protect, Serve, Autoloans.com. Call 855-937-2588 to find out more. That's 855-WE-SALUTE. Defend, Protect, Serve, Autoloans.com, 855-937-2588. That's 855-937-2588 to save money on your next auto loan. Tell them the captain sent you.
This is Senator John Kerry. I'm listening to the Captain's America radio program because I know that the Captain's America radio program continues to gain in listenership. So, if I decide to run for president again, and, well, I might, the country does need me, you know, I might just make my announcement right here on the Captain's America radio program. Of course, I'll have to listen more and more to make sure I know what it is the country really wants. My new slogan, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
Talk at your home of common sense. Joining us right now, we've got the coach. The coach is in the house. Kevin, Coach Collins from CoachesRight.com. And, Coach, since we talked last week, we've got Paul Ryan in the mix going up against Joe Biden, VP versus VP. One who knows how to open his mouth and insert words and one who doesn't.
Yeah, Ryan has caused an explosion of enthusiasm amongst conservatives, and he has really stretched out his small disapprove number that was around 39-33 is now 50-34, and I believe it was because of the great job that he and Romney did last Sunday night on 60 Minutes.
Well, that's part of it. That's part of it. But let me tell you something else. The senior citizens who have been taken for granted and told that they don't know what they're talking about, and they're just Medicare and Social Security is going to be wrecked and totaled. Of the largest voting block of voters in the state of Florida, those 55 and older, senior citizens, and they all vote, by the way, Romney now holds a 24-point lead over Obama in that group.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we have to take a bow, you and I, because we were in this group.
Yep.
As seniors in 2008, we were the only group that didn't get fooled.
That's right.
We looked at this guy and said, you know, and that's the same thing happening now, except in spades.
Yep, and I'm telling you, if you think 2010 was something, just wait for 2012, because all the excitement is on the right side of the aisle. The independents are coming on board in droves for Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. By the way, 48% of the state's voters here in Florida fear the president's health care more than Paul Ryan's proposal.
Yeah, and Ryan's appearance on Friday with his mom at the Villages was a huge success. I understand that there were people lined up at dawn to make sure that they got there.
Well, let me tell you something. I personally am going to be at the Villages Saturday morning. I'm going to be at the Villages, and the mom is coming. We expect a crowd of upwards to 10,000 people there, and I've already been told the gates open at 8. You need to be here then.
Yeah.
And I'm going in with a TV crew besides my radio stuff.
Well, I know, and if I hope I got this straight, that the other day when Romney was in St. Augustine, they turned people away.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
The hundreds, yeah.
And by the way, the day after Paul Ryan was someplace in Iowa, Joe Biden showed up and got 660 people to Ryan's 10,000. Oh, wait a minute, it was Wisconsin.
Or was it Illinois?
I thought it was Wisconsin, now that I think about it. You got 10,000 people in Kenosha, and Joe Biden showed up the next day to 660.
Wait a minute now. What state are we in? Is this North Carolina?
No, this was... is this North Carolina? Yeah, right. And by the way, how did you like the race baiting? And by the way, that was as intentional as the day was long by Joe Biden in Danville, Virginia, when he looked over at the blacks, the largest group of blacks that was in the room, pointed at him and said, "Y'all gonna be in chains."
Yeah, they are just slipping off their trolley. I saw a wonderful...
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
Well, I saw a wonderful analysis comparing this time to a little bit further along on the calendar in 1980.
Yep.
And just the fact that, at least in those days, Carter had some kind of an internal governor within him that would not allow him to call Romney a felon and a murderer. But these guys have no governor. They just say whatever comes to their mind, and it's hurting them.
It is Chicago-style thug politics, and they're going to throw the kitchen sink out there. The further they go down in the polls, the more desperate they get, trying to hold on. They're going to throw everything out there that they can throw.
Yeah, because it's the only thing that they know. And the fact that it doesn't work is very difficult for them to understand. They can't understand how the media can't save them. Well, the media needs something to work with, but they haven't got anything to work with this bunch.
Now, have you noticed what you haven't heard mentioned so far? And that's the unemployment numbers. And whenever they drag it on, late Friday afternoon or even into the evening hours of Friday over Saturday, that means that there's a bad report coming.
Oh, yeah. I know that yesterday, the Thursday, there was a slight uptick in new applications for unemployment. That's always something that you have to look at. Look, you know what it is, too, if you've noticed, the gas is jumping like 3 and 4 cents at a clip. And now they're talking that silliness of going into the national strategic reserves.
Won't help. Will not help.
It will. Not only will it not help, but you and I, as people who understand military necessity, know that is for a military emergency or emergency with a military.
That's right.
Fuel. It isn't so that this jerk can cool the polls down.
That's right. But here's why it won't work, Coach. We've got a thing called ethanol that's required by federal law to be put in gasoline. It's E10 currently. They want to make it E20, which would mean they got to put it twice as much ethanol in there. The price of corn, which is what they're using for ethanol, which was a big mistake to begin with, is now at record all-time high levels. They can't even afford to make the ethanol for the price to keep gasoline down. It's got to go up.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it is just disgusting that the Democrats continue to use food stuff that would be feeding people and stuffing it into gas tanks and actually endangering the motors. I mean, people that have boats, pleasure boats, tell me that they have to be very careful with how much ethanol they put in.
Well, it's motorcycles, it's lawnmowers, it's chainsaws, it's the weed whackers, and it's, of course, boats, as you say.
Sure. So these are things, look, hey, there isn't any, I was discussing this morning with a colleague. When was the last time that there was some positive news for Obama that has come up?
I can't think of any.
I can't either. And that is, yeah, you and I are looking and talking about genuine, not just end up by the media, where they tell us that it's positive.
Yep.
This could be the break. I think that bringing Paul Ryan on board was an absolutely wonderful stroke, and I don't know if Obama's ever going to recover from this. I don't think he will.
Well, you know Barack Obama is in trouble, or underwater, as some people like to say, when you go give a speech to a group of young people, which I did over here at Stetson University. They invited me over to talk about politics, and we had a question and answer session. They were asking me about questions, pertaining to Medicare, Social Security, investments, retirement, all that, because the kids are concerned. And then I asked the audience, I said, okay, how many of you students that would have normally had a part-time job somewhere this summer weren't able to get one? Two-thirds of the room held their hands up. You think those kids are going to vote for Barack Obama again?
No. See, that's the mistake. The people that put this facade of Obama together never had a handle on what America is. They live here. Whether or not they were born here is another question, but they don't understand the American spirit. They never have, and they never will, and this is why they're just going to be an asterisk in the history pages in the future.
Well, I've got one for you that's going to really rock your boat, and you might want to do a little homework on this one. I interview Wayne Allen Root, Barack Obama's Columbia classmate, almost every week, or certainly as many times as I can. He has now come to the conclusion that the reason why we haven't heard anything about him, his grades, or anything else at Columbia, and the reason why his grades were bad at Occidental and we can't find out about it, is because he was protected or exempt because he was going there as a foreign national, as a student, foreign national, on a foreign passport from Indonesia. How do you like that?
Yeah, I'm aware of that, and I've seen a video presentation by Mr. Root, and I can tell you that I taught at the university level.
Yes.
At that time, and I know exactly. I was the guy in the front of the room in 1983, and I know exactly the type of person that Root is talking about. I would wonder, how do these people wind up here? They really don't have an awful lot of academic skills, And then I realized, of course, this is just to make the numbers look good so that they can tell some federal agency, look, we have these foreign students here. And the worst thing is the schools didn't care about them. These kids would flunk out in 1 or 2 semesters. Didn't make any difference because they would bring in more kids.
Well, that should be your next article you write on, because I'm telling you, Wayne Allen Roots brought it back to the attention of the national media. It's there. I would strongly suggest that you grab it, take a look at it, and run with it, because it's the only thing that makes sense about why would a person want to take all their college grades and any record of attendance to a college and hide it. I mean, most people are I'm proud of my college transcripts. I'm proud of the school and the fact that I went late in life in my middle 50s and finally got a bachelor's degree to go along with my associates, and then pursued and got a master's degree I'm in business management. I'm proud of that. I've got all that stuff. Why wouldn't you want to be proud of what you did in college? It makes no sense.
Oh, absolutely. And if it was legit, I mean, and he actually did graduate, so, and he had a couple of bad grades, hey, they could spin that as, look, I'm the average guy.
Yeah.
Just like you. I got a couple of C's and a D once in a while, but I kept, going on and persevering. But you're right. He can't, because there's no there.
Yep, and folks, with that, we've got to cut it with the coach here, but we've been speaking with Kevin Coach Collins from CoachesRight.com, and get his articles. Go there, sign up for the articles, and find out what's going on in the world around you. Coach writes some great articles. Coach, we'll talk to you next week.
I always look forward. Thank you.
All right, folks, the Captain's America Radio Show rolls on. We're coming back.
Hello, everyone. This is Chris Markowski, your watchdog on Wall Street, and you're listening to the guy that's all about truth, justice, and the American way. No, not Superman. That's right, the Captain. You're listening to Captain's America with Matt Bruce.
Obama says that people will say, drill, baby, drill, and that's so stupid and simplistic. Well, it is a hard answer, but it's a simple answer. The United States, it is true, as what Obama says, that the global price of oil determines the oil price in the United States. But we have a tremendous capacity to influence the global price of oil, and in fact, increasingly, to dominate it. You know, the price of oil used to be set by the United States, by the Texas Railroad Commission. They were the OPEC back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, because we had such a dominant share of the world's oil production. Then our oil production fell to about 5 million barrels a day. It used to be 10 million. So around 1973, when OPEC took over, we were drilling about 5 million, and the world's oil production was about 60. We were a very, very small share. Now the world's oil production is up to 86 million, but our share, particularly when you combine us with Canada, is now over 8 million. And in the next 3 years is going to rise to 11 million. And in the 3 years after that will probably go up to 14 million. These are all in barrels a day. So almost 20% of the world's oil is going to come from the U.S. and Canada. By the way, the importance of the Keystone Pipeline has never really been properly explained. The reason we needed the pipeline with Canada was to create a North American OPEC, a North American condominium cartel that would have enough clout to be able to leverage and control the price of oil. If you kept Canada's 3 million barrels and our 6 million barrels in separate places, it wouldn't amount to much. But when you combine them, especially with the growth that's coming up in the next year or two, they become very formidable. So the United States has the capacity to control the world's price of oil. Once we're up to 11 million barrels with Canada in 2016, we will produce more oil than Russia, which is 10 million, and more oil than Saudi Arabia, which is 9 million. We combined will be the #1 oil producer. And about 3 years after that, we'll be the #1 oil producer by a factor of 50 or 60%. By 2020, we will probably produce close to a quarter of the world's oil, and we will be able completely to determine that market price. So when Obama says that we need a whole panoply of different things and so on, and drilling is only a very small part of the answer, he's just wrong. He's fond of quoting a statistic where he says we're 25% of the world's oil consumption, 2% of the world's oil resources. Well, that statistic was accurate 4 years ago. It's not now. Because of technological developments, largely frac drilling and offshore drilling, pioneered by the Bush administration, we now have over a quarter of the world's oil reserves and have the capacity to dominate it. You know, when you think about it, the real legacy of George W. Bush, Bush 43, was that his policies set in motion genuine energy independence for the United States and crippled the ability of terrorists to attack us because he ultimately set in motion events that would erode their financial base. Thank you, Mr. Bush. And thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.
Enjoy the 100 greatest books of all time and never read a word. Listen to them instead on the Library of Classics MP3 player. Enjoy Moby Dick, Gulliver's Travels, Tom Sawyer, Little Women, and 96 more, all preloaded on the compact player. Listen while driving, gardening, working out, or relaxing in your favorite chair. It's the perfect companion for road trips or on a plane. For a limited time, you'll receive the easy-to-use MP3 player, headphones, belt clip, car adapter, and 100 classic audiobooks. You could easily spend over $1,000 to buy the entire collection. You get everything for just $99 plus shipping. That's less than $1 a book. Order now and you'll also get 50 great classical music performances preloaded on the player. You're fully protected by our lifetime guarantee. If you are ever dissatisfied, get a complete refund, no questions asked. Call toll-free right now and order your Library of Classics.
1-800-721-5077, 1-800-721-5077. That's 1-800-721-5077.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare with your children being raised by someone else? With our free information, you can lead a less stressful life, work from home, and start earning money as soon as next week.
I was about to be laid off from a company that was going bankrupt. On top of that, I wanted my kids to have mommy care, not daycare. My first month, I made $1,000 part-time. After 90 days, I was home with my children, and for the past 7 years, I've been here for my 3 little girls. I love this business.
Go to freedom130.com. Get out of the rat race and start earning great money as soon as next week.
I was skeptical. However, I had to get out of corporate America. Both me and my wife were able to quit our jobs and now make over $10,000 a month from home.
Go to freedom130.com right now and change your life today.
This is Frank Salvato, managing editor of NewMediaJournal.us, and you're listening to The Captain's America with Matt Bruce on FM 99.9 WXJB, news and talk for the Nature Coast.
Where the stars and stripes and the eagles fly.
Speaking of Screwed, that's the book by Dick Morris. We're going to have Dick Morris on next week. He's going to be in the Tampa area. We'll tell you more about that. So don't be surprised when we bring him on the program. But right now, we've got somebody who ran for the Senate in 2010 as a Libertarian. He's also co-founder of a website, LibertyTakeover2012.com. His name is Alex Snitker. And Alex, welcome to the show.
How are you doing, Captain?
I'm doing a lot better than a few politicians that had no idea what was going to hit them after Paul Ryan was announced as the VP candidate. And I'll tell you what, these poll numbers that are coming out are absolutely astounding.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that one thing that Paul Ryan does do to the ticket is he is a very good talker about the fiscal issues and about the economic issues, and that is something that people want to hear about. And so I really think that that's the one thing that's probably helping out Romney a lot is that he's able to go out there and speak on those issues.
Well, poll after poll after poll with the senior citizens through AARP and AMAC are showing that the Florida state senior citizens are absolutely livid and fed up with President Obama's $716 billion in cuts to Medicare, spiraling foreclosure rates, 8.6 unemployment, crushing debt, and the Florida voters today, in a poll that came out from the AARP, believe Mitt Romney will do a better job with Medicare and Social Security than Barack Obama by 24 percentage points. That is huge.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you look at Obama went out there and tried to gut Medicare and tried to pay for his big expansion into government takeover of healthcare, and I don't think the seniors were much too happy about that.
Well, no, because on Medicare, the poll notes that 48% of the Sunshine State seniors fear the president's health care more than Ryan's proposal, 48 to 38%. That's a 10 percentage point difference.
Yeah, no, and that's the one issue. I think Paul Ryan, and for the Ryan plan, the one thing that I would say is a positive out of that is what he's trying to do with Medicare and trying to bring it back down to the state level. I think you'll get a lot better results if you do that than vice the way that Obama's trying to do it with a big centralized plan.
Yeah, and the word is out because Mitt Romney is now using the Karl Rove whiteboard, spelling out in plain detail for people to see the difference between the Romney-Ryan Medicare and Social Security plan and the Obama plan, and there's a stark contrast. It's very simple to understand, and the seniors get it. The seniors get it. They already had this in their sights. Besides that, most of the Tea Party folks happen to be senior citizens. Am I wrong?
In the state of Florida, there's a good amount of them that are. A very, very large amount of them are.
Yep.
And they're understanding, and this is the one, I always say there's a lot more in common than apart with these guys, but there's one thing that separates them, and it's their plans that relate towards the entitlement programs, and that one is one where I got to give credit to Paul Ryan for the plan that he's put out, at least in that aspect of it.
Now, the retirees age 65 and older in the state of Florida are the number one voting block in Florida. So with the retirees buying lock, stock, and kitty hawk into the Ryan-Romney plan, Barack Obama and Joe Biden have got a huge problem, don't they?
Oh, yeah, they're going to have a big hill to climb, especially in the Sunshine State. This is going to be one of those states that has it's going to be one of the big swing states, and it's going to be very important. And for this to come out against Obama and Biden is going to damage them pretty tremendously in the Sunshine State.
And, folks, we're speaking with Alex Snitker. Alex Snitker is a former U.S. Senate candidate, Libertarian Party, 2010, ran against Marco Rubio, and he has a website that he co-founded called LibertyTakeover2012.com. Well, now let's drift over to the Libertarian candidate, Gary Johnson. I believe he was in Florida, a week ago?
No, he's going to be in Florida this coming up week for the RNC. He's doing a little bit of a tour around Florida. He'll be speaking at Paul Fest, so he'll be down and about doing some media interviews and some events down here during that time frame.
All right, well, there's not very much interest being sparked in what Gary Johnson is doing. I don't know what the reason for that is, but I haven't seen any press releases at all about Gary Johnson, about anything going on. I wonder why that is.
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I actually get them all the time.
Well, I don't, and neither does anybody else in the Tampa media. I'm telling you, somebody in his camp is not doing his job.
Well, I'll make sure to pass that along to the campaign on that one. Yeah, I actually get him pretty regularly, and he's doing a lot of good things. And the good thing is about Gary is, we could talk about the Ryan plan, and we could talk about Romney, and we could talk about Obama, but the difference in the budget numbers between those two candidates is 3.5 to $3.8 trillion in spending in 2013, and Gary Johnson wants to balance the budget. So, the difference between Obama and Romney when it comes to the bottom line numbers is about $300 billion off of a $3+ trillion budget, which both of them are going to be over the budget. And I got to tell you, we're going to have to balance this budget, and I can't see a plan that's being embraced by the establishment of either parties that's going to get it done.
Well, we are going to have to balance the budget, and we all know that, and that's part of the problem we've got is we can't keep spending more money than what we're taking in. And I received some other key news today from the Department of Defense, and in particular CENTCOM. You've probably heard me speaking with some high-ranking military officers about something called a lily pad plan over the past couple of years. Have you ever heard me talk about that?
A little bit, but could you explain it again for me?
The lily pad plan is taking our aircraft carrier battle groups and positioning special forces units, 300 to 500 of them, on an aircraft carrier ready to respond, rapid response, anywhere in the world from where their battle group would be at. Now, the Department of Defense and my former commanding officer, retired Major General Paul Vallely, as well as Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney, have had numerous meetings with the DOD in Washington, with CENTCOM, with Special Ops, and they finally bought into the plan yesterday and will start implementing it right away, which means no more 50,000 troops here, 100,000 troops there, going in to do nation building. The rapid deployment force will go in, do what they got to do, and get back out of Dodge. How do you like them apples?
No, I think it's a good transition to what the military should be, which is to be national defense and not to be nation building and put these troops in all these other countries. And it provides the logistical capability in order to get things done so you can still have, you know, like you said, the rapid response, and yet not waste all the money in having troops in all these other countries, and, you know, let these guys start defending their own borders for a little while and not put it on the backs of the taxpayers of this country.
And that's all part of what they're going to do. It's going to cut down on the expenses because, as we know, there's a $500 billion budget cut coming for the Department of Defense unless something changes over the next 10 years. That's $50 billion a year. But they're also going to be putting elements, regular Army elements, along the borders, especially with Mexico and the porous areas up along the Canadian border, and also in the ports, because we have a problem in our ports. Because, Alex, I don't know if you know this, but this week, a couple of days ago, in the Gulf of Mexico, a Russian attack sub just happened to show up.
No, and these guys are going to start testing our defense capabilities, which is why, you know, if we're going to spend money in military, we need to spend it on the ports. We need to spend it on, you know, missile defense technology. That's where we need to be spending it here domestically. And bringing these troops home and putting them on the borders is not necessarily a bad idea. You know, we got to protect our own borders. We can't be worried about, you know, the borders around the rest of the world. And it's a good step, and we'll see if we can continue down that road. And we're going to have to, because even the Joint Chiefs of Staff themselves have said that the biggest threat to this country is our out-of-control debt. I mean, you've heard the Joint Chiefs themselves talk about that, you know, the out-of-control debt we have in this country. So this is a national crisis that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed sooner than later.
That's absolutely correct. And folks, we're speaking with Alex Snitker. Alex Snitker, a former U.S. Senate candidate on the Libertarian side, back in 2010, ran against Marco Rubio, has a website, libertytakeover2012.com. Okay, let's make you president for a day. You've just got elected president of the United States. What's the first three things you're going to do?
Well, the first thing that I would do is I would recall all the troops from Afghanistan and bring those guys home first and foremost. And as a president, you do have the authority to be able to do that. The second thing I would do is I would get rid of all of the executive orders that were ever passed by Obama, make sure that we get those things all taken care of. And the third thing, and this would be a little bit tricky, and this would require congressional approval, so I'd have to go to Congress and submit the bill, but I would submit the bill that would sunset every piece of legislation and have to have it go back through the Congress, and it would go through with the dollar amount that it costs us first. So basically that you would have to reapprove everything that the Congress has done, have it go all back through the system, and always have the sunset provisions in anything that we do. That way when bad things happen, we can get rid of those programs and we can go with something else.
Now, see, I thought you were going to tell me you were going to go after a balanced budget amendment, because that's something that could be done. The president could initiate that, because everybody else has to balance their budget, all the private citizens, so why shouldn't the government?
Oh, no, absolutely. Well, no, I agree with you there. I would not sign a budget that didn't balance. You can't do that. We can no longer spend money that the future generations are going to have to spend. I mean, that's a very good statement. I was thinking of more along the lines of things that presidents themselves could actually gets accomplished, even though I would just not sign the budget. So it wouldn't be something I would do. It probably would be more along the lines of something I wouldn't do.
All right, folks. Well, I'm the captain. His name is Alex Snitker, former U.S. Senate candidate, 2010 Libertarian ticket, ran against Marco Rubio. He's now co-founder of a website, Liberty Takeover, 2012.com.
Hey there, Captain. It's Melvin out in the bass boat. Captain, I was at my doctor a couple of weeks ago, and, he told me he was going out of business, what with all this health care stuff going on, but now that the Supreme Court's flipped it over, well, I guess I don't need to go up to Canada and find me a new proctologist. I can just stay right here. Well, I got to get going now because I can see my rod bending over. I got some bait up there. I think I'm getting a nibble, so I'm going to talk to you later. It's Melvin in the bass boat. Have a good day.
Well, hey-ho, Captain, it's Melvin out here in my bass boat. Hey, maybe you can help me with something. I was out here fishing a little bit earlier, and this girl comes pulling up next to me in a little Boston whaler selling Vienna hot dogs. She was in a nice little bathing suit and everything, but anyway, I got a couple of hot dogs from her, and she took off with my $20 and told me she'd bring my change back about 2 hours later. I ain't seen her. I can't explain that to my wife. Looks like I got a nibble on a big one. I gotta let you go there, Captain. Have a good day.
Well, I want to thank everybody up here at the Villages for being really nice. And the weather got kind of bad here the last hour of the show. It started to rain. The weather came in. People started scattering. So basically, I've been the Lone Ranger up here where I've been sitting underneath the canopy right here by Lake Sumter, right where Paul Ryan gave a speech a couple hours ago about Medicare, brought his mom along with him. Very well received. Now, let's see if the mainstream media reports this correctly. The fire department that was here, the fire marshal, the rescue crews that were here, who are charged with counting people, and they do a bang-up job of doing it, said that there was 10,000 people here based on the overhead shots, based on the cars and the golf carts that were counted, and based on the people that were stationed around counting heads. 10,000 people showed up to hear Paul Ryan give a major speech at the largest retirement community in the United States, the Villages here in Florida. And I want to thank everybody, our new friends we made up here in the Villages Tea Party, the 912 groups, all the different Tea Party folks that came up to me. Thanks a lot. Appreciate everything that you do for our great country, the United States of America. We'll see you all again next week, everybody. Don't forget, 6:35, 8:35, Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the Nature Coast Morning News, opining about Tea Party news. And then 5:35 Wednesdays on AM 860, AM 930. 5:35 a.m. on the Chris Markowski Show, and more news coming about how to hear us on our flagship station every Saturday from noon to 3. All right, folks, we'll be back next week. God bless America.
Hi, everybody. This is the Captain. Check out the new Captain's America store, open 24/7 for your shopping convenience, located at the captainsamerica.talkspot.com website. Show your patriotism with a beautiful red, white, and blue Captain's America logo on a hat, T-shirt, coffee cup, or polo shirt. Now you can show your support of the Captain's America radio show wherever you go and show your pride in America. Go to the captainsamerica.talkspot.com website for more.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Anyone who would stand before you and say, well, if you pass health care reform, next year's health care premiums are going down, I don't think is telling the truth. I think it is likely they would go up, but what we're trying to do is slow the rate of increase.
Wake up, America! You're listening to the Captain's America radio show on the Phoenix Broadcasting Talk Network. Phoenix Broadcasting Talk Network, where quality talk radio shows come to be heard.
It's party time. Join us on Saturday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, as Christopher Fredrickson and JJ Roxy set the House of Hair on fire. Be sure to check out the party in the chat, hosted by Ghost Whisperer. Come check out the House of Hair at ghostfighterradio.com. Ghost Fighter Radio.
So, gentlemen, this concludes our business for today. I want to thank you for coming. Now, if you'd be so kind as to rejoin the party outside, I'll join you myself in a few minutes. But first I want to speak with my consigliere privately.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tom, did you look into the matter we discussed and make all inquiries?
Yes, Pop, I did.
And tell me, what is this Big Dog Mafia?
No, Pop. It's called Big Dog Music Mafia, and it's an internet website. And it's really called BigDogMusicMafia.com.
Che cosa questo?
You don't have to be concerned.